something I noticed and is wonderful about your book is that at the end of each chapter, there's questions for reflection, which is something that is kind of designed for small groups. I assume it's designed for people who may not study religion or have even ever been a part of a religious studies class or have gone to seminary or any of those things. It's a way of kind of getting people to reflect on the things that you've had these scholars write about for your book. The question I want you to consider and answer, and I'd like an answer from each of you, and it's how we'll close out, is for the average person who maybe isn't in a class, isn't in a school or anything like that, why would an average person who is concerned about their faith, interested in their faith, why should they take the time to read your book and to invest into that when it may feel so far flung from what their faith is really all about in their mind. They may not see this as having the relevance to their life that you all might see because it's your area of study. So imagine that I am a skeptic, that I don't really want to take my time, that I know nothing about this. Convince me that I should be taking the time to read your book.
Who wants to go first?
I know. I was just about to call on you.
She goes for Alex.
It's a very good question.
It's a very good question, right? But you're right. We're scholars and we're in our heads about this. I actually, so I mentioned earlier Angela Parker, and her book, If God Still Breathes, Why Can't I, is a book that's about it's a way of thinking about the biblical text without the categories of infallibility or inerrancy. And the reason I want to bring her work into this conversation as part of the reason you should read ours is because we have a living God. And as folks who have a living God, it also means that we have a relationship where we have to look at the good and the bad. And in looking at the good and the bad of our world, of what humanity is, I think one of the most atrocious sins in our world has been slavery and its perpetuation and its continuation. And so I think in terms of personal faith, part of what this book can help us do is to read the New Testament in ways that give us both hope. I think about the voice of the Pythian slave girl or enslaved woman in Acts, that Dr. Cobb writes about a lot, Christy writes about a lot. And the fact that she tells the truth, but nobody believes her because she's enslaved. So, one of the ways this book helps us see the world differently is to start to see the places where voices are missing, or where we miss voices, where we miss people's contributions, where we leave people out, not only of our contemporary stories, but of decision making that affects them. I think this book actually helps us wrestle with the New Testament in ways that the New Testament then gives us hope for bringing missing voices back into the conversation, hope for seeing those who are often so left out of our world.
And that was a really good answer, and I think I'll sort of take the end of your answer and move into mine, which is that I might convince someone, if you value the stories in your Bible, right? Then this book will be interesting to you because we fill out the stories. We give the invisible people in the pages of the New Testament. We give them background. We give them names and jobs and labor, and so it really will, I think, it will enhance your reading of the New Testament if you read this book, I think. And so if you're thinking about even Easter and sort of like the Last Supper conversation we had earlier, there are a number of enslaved people that show up in the Passion narratives. It will change your understanding of Easter in that way. First questioner of Peter during his denial is an enslaved woman. The man whose ear Peter cuts off is an enslaved man. I mean, they're everywhere throughout the Passion narratives, and so I think this book will give you a broader and sort of deeper understanding of the stories that Christians value.